Hey, pretty people, and welcome back to kamacorder. Today's mood of the night is happy. I finally had time to just do nothing. I've been going. Like, I needed a whole break, and like, I'm kind of sick, which is like, I'm debating a little bit whether or not I should even go to class on Monday because, like, I don't want to go to school if I'm sick. But it's almost finals and I'm just like really like what should I do? But yeah, we'll see what happens. I sometimes forget that I have free will. Do you know those TikTok memes that are like me when I remember that I have free will and that they're just like screaming like in a random ass like aisle in the store in the grocery store? That is like me, but like internally I'm like, okay, word, like I totally forgot that I could just do whatever I want. So my current obsession, I'm not even gonna lie, is K dramas, which may sound like a cop out, like, so you're talking about K dramas in this episode and you just want to say your favorite, you know, your current obsession is K dramas right now, so it could just like no, it's not so it could it's not so it could just like seemingly fit. That's just how it's been since I was young. Like I've just been obsessed with K dramas. I think I will continue to be obsessed with K dramas. Like there will never be an era where I'm not obsessed with K dramas. Like my every single era of my life, I've been peeping. Like I've been a part of that K drama craze, and it's not even because I'm Korean. So this K drama episode will be split into two parts because I am just gonna my whole like the whole time I'm just gonna be talking, and I wanted to split the video into like or I wanted to split this episode into one part being everything that I love about K dramas, everything that like I eat up on a daily basis, on a monthly, weekly basis, on like a minute minute basis. Um and then my second episode is just gonna be everything that I want improved, things I don't like, because if I'm going to be a hater at the end of this, like I want y'all to know why I eat it up and why sometimes I'll put the plate away. Right. Yeah, yeah. Today's episode is going to be a more positive thing, and prepare to be seated because this is going to take me at least 2 hours to film, meaning that there is going to be at least an hour of footage. Like, yeah, so hey girl, if you're watching this while studying, like, hey, like, if I'm just like your background noise for today, hey, if you're doing like your chores and I'm just like here, hey. But yeah, so first we're gonna get into like the origin story of how my obsession even started, and then we're gonna go more into like my favorite K dramas, why I love them, the synopsis of it all, and then like my favorite tropes. Like it's gonna be just a cute little episode that is gonna be long. So grab a snack, grab a drink, take a seat, or just do whatever you want to do and listen in. So the origin story, I basically grew up on K dramas. Like the moment I was out the womb, K dramas was already like a circulating hobby within my family because my grandma loved K dramas down. Like she loved K dramas down, and she is not even a Korean woman. She's literally Micronesian. We love to see it. I know a lot of like Pacific Island, Micronesian, communities or like families love watching like Korean dramas, Filipino dramas, Bollywood dramas. Like we just love it. Like it just we just eat it up. And I grew up in a household that like every single time my grandma would be in the living room, there would be a K drama playing automatic, and she had like this. It wasn't like a cassette per se, because girl, do I look that old? Sorry, sorry, but like it wasn't a cassette. It was more like those DVD sets that like had. Cause wait, to explain it, she watched this one K drama that had multiple seasons, which I don't think happens that often anymore, but it had multiple different seasons, and it was just like a very continuous long story of this very significant historical figure named Chumong. And so she had Someone is blasting Kendrick. I could hear it next door. Hey. Yeah, so it was like a DVD set and she would like replay it over and over. Like I'm pretty sure that's the only one that she owned because it's the only one that I'm remembering. But I don't really remember much of my childhood. So like don't quote me on that because I know some of my cousins are watching this. Girl, I don't know. Like I don't know. Every time my grandma was in the living room, there was always a K drama playing and like she lived with us for a really, really long time. I would say from like 2012 to like 2015 ish in that time. And so when she moved back to Micronesia, my parents, my aunties, and my uncles would be literally watching K dramas that were not playing on because she obviously like brought that DVD set with her, but we had cable. So there was like a Korean drama channel. And like once my parents were hooked on a Korean drama, they would like figure out the times and dates that it was playing each week and we would just sit down and watch it. And like it was those like makjang dramas where like it was like really cliche where like the male lead is very rich, the female lead is poor, there's like memory loss, sometimes it's like really complicated families where like this person like lost their child when they were young and then like the kidnapper was the one raising their child, like stuff like that. And so when I was like in middle school, I was like, wait, like hold on. I can just like cuz you know how there's like some K-dramas where you have to wait like weeks, a whole week to watch the rest because like it comes out weekly, right? My parents loved those and like the cliffhangers were always cliffhanger ring. So yeah, like I would eat it up and I would literally have no patience because I'm really impatient. I would be like, bro, like can next week come already? Like I'm tired of waiting for this shit. Like, oh my god. But when I found out that some of them were reruns and they were actually like really old K dramas that like were just on cable at the time, I was like, okay, wait, let me search this up on the internet, find a website, and finish the series on my own. And I did. And since then, me and Dramacool have been like this. So, yeah, that brings us to where we are now. And now we're going to be talking about my favorite K dramas. I actually only have three. Honestly, it's surprising to me because I expected that there was more, and I have tried filming this video more than once. But those other times, there was different K dramas in the list, and like I was low key lying. I was low key lying because the way that I was ranking them was not really. Anyway, that's not the point. I actually ranked these K dramas based on rewatchability and plot and nothing else because like I said, I'm really impatient, but I also get bored really easily. And so if I've already watched a K drama, like you can't like there's nothing you can do to make me sit down and rewatch from start to finish while I know everything that's going on. Like I can't. I would never do that to myself. And so surprisingly, with these three K dramas, I have rewatched them multiple times from start to finish without like dropping it in the middle of my rewatch because there are K dramas that I have rewatched, but I didn't finish it because I was like, wait, I already know. Like, let me not even come back to this. Like, oh my god, that's why there's only three because I can only rewatch these three on repeat. Right, right, right. With each K drama, we're gonna do a deep dive, and I'm gonna talk about the synopsis, basically a summary of each of the plots. Then I'm gonna talk about why I love them, and be prepared for spoilers because I'm going to be spoiling not only these three K dramas, but any K drama that I mentioned that you're like in the middle of watching that you don't want to know anything about. Like, watch that K drama first, like, finish it, wait until everything comes out, whatever you gotta do, then come back to this video. Unless you want to be spoiled because you love me so much, like, thank you. With that being said, there are K dramas that I do want to like give a shout out to. So here are my K dramas of the year. I'm also gonna just mention K dramas that didn't come out this year because I'm feeling a little frisky. But shout out to My Sweet Mobster, which I'm actually gonna talk about. Lovely Runner, Frankly Speaking, Crash Course in Romance, Welcome to Sam Diary. Shout out to Alchemy of Soul. I know they didn't come out in 2024, but I don't care anymore. Like y'all just need a shout out. Yeah, shout out to Alchemy of Soul. Shout out to Reply 1988. Shout out to Mouse. Shout out to Strong Woman Dubong Soon. Shout out to 100 Days My Prince. Oh my god. Shout out to that's all I can remember off the top of my head now. So the first K drama that I'm gonna be talking about, which is like my number one K drama ever, like literally, this is going to be the K drama of my lifetime. If you think about a K drama, like Mr. Queen is my K drama. Like, not that I own it or anything, but like I love it so bad. Like literally, if you think of me, think of Mr. Queen. Like that's how like we're basically like the same. Like we're two sides of the same coin is what we are. So yeah, I would give Mr. Queen 10 out of 10 on rewatchability and 10 out of 10 on plot. The genres that are included in the drama are historical, fantasy, action, and romance. The tropes that are included are body switch, enemies to lovers, and ensemble cast. The main character of this K drama is a chef named Bangwan, who is a chef at the Korean Blue House, which is basically the Korean White House. Um, and basically, what happens is he falls into a pool, which causes him to go back in time. In and he ends up in a woman's body, which is the queen of Chosun at the time, and her name is Soyoung. That is why it's called Mr. Queen because it's a guy in a girl's body, and she happens to be the queen of Chosun, right? With the queen, the other important figures in this story are also the king, his name is Chorjong, and the concubine, which her name is Hwajin. So basically, there is a bunch of conflicts within the K drama that make it really, really interesting. One being like the fact that he's even in a woman's body and like that he time travels because like he doesn't even know how he got there at first. Like with the audience, like obviously because we see that he okay. So with the audience, what we see is that like he falls into the pool because like he had like an altercation with police, which is not important, but like what? Yeah. So like he was getting chased down by the police because of like this misunderstanding from his end. Like the police weren't actually chasing him, but like that's what he just assumed was happening. So then he runs away and like ends up jumping or no, he ends up falling off his balcony while he's running away into the pool. And he's like in this big body of water. All of a sudden he sees a pretty girl, kisses her, and then he wakes up and he's in the queen's body. And you can kind of put two and two together that the pretty girl that he ends up kissing is the queen. But he doesn't put that together until later on, obviously. Like he's just like really, really like all over the place. And then he figures out, oh my god, like I jumped into that big body of water. When I jumped into the pool, that's when all of this, like, like after I was in the pool, that's when all of this happened. So, one of the biggest conflicts is that he needs to go back to his own body, and there's like a bunch of struggles and mystery as to why he's in there in the first place and how he got there. So when he gets into the queen's body, like it clicks that he got there after falling into the pool and kissing the pretty girl, aka the queen. And like when he puts two and two together, he's like, okay, so I just need to find a big body of water, jump into it, then I'll be back. Boom. Because he thinks that the any big body of water is like his form of transportation back into like his original timeline. So he tries to go look for a big body of water or like a lake or something, and he goes to like all of the lakes in Chosun, but surprisingly, they're all drained. Like there is not enough water in the lakes. Like there's just like little puddles. Not enough water in the lake for him to like actually jump into the lake, you know? And he finds out that all of the lakes have been drained because of the queen's accident. But the thing is, it's very interesting because at first he assumes that like they switched bodies and that um he's in the queen's body, like it's just his soul in the queen's body, and the queen is off in his body doing whatever she wants because like it's a different century and like she could just do whatever. That's one of his biggest motivations to go back to his body because he's like, oh hell no, like I don't want her doing whatever she wants. Like when he starts to gain the queen's memories, he's like, hold on, like why am I regaining the queen's memories? And it's because the queen and him share the same body. Like, so it's two souls in one body, but in a sense, he's the host. And so, as he's becoming one with the queen's body, he figures out that the last people that she saw were the king and his concubine, who is the real love of his life. Because there's actually like a pretty interesting love triangle happening before he is even in the scene. And the love triangle is the queen, the king, and his concubine. Because the thing is, there's three major clans, three major groups these within the story. So the first group is the Kim clan, which is the queen's family. So there's it's really interesting, and I don't know like the historical context. I just could pick up what's going on. I just don't know how to explain it. So there are three queens. Um, the first being the king's wife, and then the second one is the queen's grandma. So, yeah. And then the queen's grandmother, obviously, and the queen are in the same clan. However, the clan is very known to be corrupt. They control most of like the political, military, and like even like the king himself. And the reason why this is because the queen's family, the Kim clan, ended up exiling and killing all of the king's family prior to him becoming king, and they like exiled him to the point where he just like lived in the capital or like lived in the countryside as a poor person. But then after the former king passed away, they were like, okay, so let's put like any random guy on the throne that we can control. So the king is a puppet king. Like I said earlier, there are three major queens, two of which we already covered, which is the king's wife and then the queen's grandmother. And this is actually a pretty interesting case because I don't really know why it's like this, but the former king's mother is one of the queens. And I'm not really sure why it's like that, but it is. And she's a part of the Chol clan. And the Chol clan is also where Hwajin, the concubine, is from. So Chol clan is also corrupt. However, they don't have as much power or connections as the Kim clan because they just like the only power and connection that they had was the direct line with like the former king. But then the former king tried to um reform the government, and because of that, like it's suspected and like kind of implied that the Kim clan killed off the former king and put on this new guy that they could control, that is easier to control, so that they don't have to worry about a rebellion. However, that's something that they do kind of have to worry about because the king has his own like little group where it consists of him, his brother, and his best friend. And so these three guys are trying to reform the government, but doing it in a secret way while the king is kind of becoming like the king is kind of undercover, is pretending to be stupid in front of all of these officials, this government officials that obviously like want to control him, but he's secretly conducting a plan where he can take over the government and have full autonomy. And so the Cho clan and the Kim clan are fighting for power using the woman closest to the king, while the king wants government reform. But since the Kim clan is the reason why he's on the throne in the first place, he has to strategize and gain military power in secret. And so the love triangle kind of represents like these three different parties. And because the queen is connected to the people that the king hates the most, he automatically has like a sort of prejudice against the queen and thinks that she is just like her family, and that she was only queen to like she only became queen in order to spy on the king and in order to be like a informant for her clan, and that she is just as corrupt and greedy as the rest of her family. So like he doesn't love her. He doesn't love Soyoung, the queen. He loves Chorjong loves Hwajin instead. When Pongwon figures out, oh, the king doesn't even like the queen. He is in love with somebody else. He kind of assumes that, oh, so this is the thing that basically happened, is like since Chorjong and Hwajin were the last people to see Soyoung, that means that they are the most suspicious and probably were the ones who pushed her into the lake. However, as he regains his memories, he realizes that the queen, Soyoung, was depressed because she had no power and found out that she was being used as a pawn by her family. So basically, she was raised with the um idea like drilled into her head that she is going to become the future queen, so she needs to act like this. And so she did everything that her family wanted and acted in a way that she knew was supposed to be proper for her future position as queen. But she kind of naively thought that, oh, when I'm queen, like my family is not going to have anything to do with me. Like I'm going to have all of this power and I'm going to be able to have like my own autonomy to say what I want to say. But she doesn't realize that she's just a pawn in their game of like continuously retaining power and greed. And so when he realizes, oh my god, like I like she tried to basically because when he realizes, oh my god, she was depressed, like he puts two and two together that she jumped into the lake on her own will and nobody tried to push her, but the Kim clan was already like kind of pushing the agenda that the Chol clan's the concubine from the Chol clan, Wajin, was the one that pushed our Soyoung into the lake because of that, because of the fact that she wants to become queen and she loves the king and everything like that, because they're all kind of like not at trial but they're like in front of this like I don't know how to explain. They're like in the palace, like in the courtyard, and like the Kim clan, like the queen's grandma is like really accusing Hwajin of like, it's because you love the king and that's why you decided to push my granddaughter into the lake. And he's like, wait guys, like no, like Pong was like, wait guys, like I did it myself. Hey, like nobody did it. And his like her grandma's like, girl, why did you do that? Like we literally just needed a reason to kick Hwajin out. Like that was their only reason. Like they were not even concerned about their granddaughter like committing. When she says like, oh no, it was me that did it, they're like, oh wait, so are you on the king side? Like they start to like be suspicious of her. And so because the thing is like she wrote out her notes as to the fact that she pushed herself into the lake in like with embroidery. And like while he's going through her stuff, he finds the embroidery thingy and it's like, guys, this is proof. And so they make him burn her note. Is like, okay, so if you ever do that thing again, like if you ever do something like that again, like we'll just you are not that important. If you're going to be on the king's side, we're gonna. And she's like, oh, sorry guys, okay, I will. And so like Pongwon is like, okay, I'm just gonna try my best to survive. I'm not going to pick the king's side. And at first, like because the king already doesn't like Soyoung and Pongwon, I guess they're just like the same person. Because the king doesn't like Pongwon, like he was already suspicious of her from the jump, right? And so like they kind of have this like enemies to lovers thing going on, because since he believes that she is a spy, anything suspicious that she does is automatically like, oh, I gotta watch out for you. And there's something that happens that is honestly like super funny. Like it's funny looking back at it, because basically this is his first time, like not even this, let me not even say like this is his first time. He has never experienced life as a woman, obviously. But the thing is, when he was a guy, like as a man, like he's a very masculine person. And so he makes the queen's maid like dress her up as a guy, and then he goes or she goes to the like to like this kisang, which is like a I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. Uh, mm, like a it's basically he goes to the club, right? She goes to the club dressed up as a guy. She goes to the club and is like having a good old time partying it up. She gets hella drunk, accidentally goes into the men's bathroom because he forgets that she's actually a girl, right? You know? And so like he's like, oh damn. So he's like really drunk, really out of it, and accidentally stumbles into this room where Turjong, his brother, and his best friend are having a secret meeting on how they're going to take over the freaking kingdom. Queen doesn't see anything, hear anything. She's just there. But cause she's so drunk. She's so out of it. Like she's just there. And so like the king is like, hold on, like what does she know? What does she know? Oh damn, like she acts because like she goes in there and she's like, oh my god, guys, my bad. Like I didn't even know what room I was in, and like very much like stumbles out of there like super duper drunk. And he's like, she could have heard something. Like they're all like, oh my god, she could have heard something. I don't remember exactly what happens, but then there's like this scene where basically the king tries to assassinate the queen, tries to assassinate Pongsun, or not Pongsun, tries to assassinate Pongwon slash Soyoung because he's afraid that she might have heard something she didn't. She doesn't see um his face because he uses like this mask, like this like silk mask to cover up his face to make sure that she doesn't know it's him. And then like he tries to assassinate her, and then her cousin, who is secretly in love with her, yeah, comes to save the day and is like, you can't be killing my friend, blah 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 blah. And then he tries to like figure out whether or not she remembers that drunken like assassination attempt, and tries to like give her like this truth telling serum. But because like the queen puts two and two together that the king was the one, that Torjung was the one who tried to kill her, she assumes that it's because like she assumes that, oh my god, he's trying to poison me. And like they get into this really big argument because Pongwon thinks that Chorjong tried to kill her because of the fact that he likes another woman. He thinks that, oh, you just want this woman, because he refers to the queen's body as this woman. So he's like, you just want this woman to get out of your life. Like you don't even want her um in your life. Like you just want to marry the love of your life. You're just selfish. So that's why you're picking on me, because you think this is the easiest way to get out, and you just want to pick on the weakest link in order for you to get what you want. Isn't that right? And he's like, oh, damn. All of this, like, hatred that they have each other slowly turns into camaraderie when Pongwon ends up deciding to, like, pick the king's side and, like, fights on the king's side. And then, so they end up falling in love. And it's like enemies to friends to lovers. It's really good. Yeah, the reason why I loved it was because the misunderstandings between the king and the queen, who isn't entirely herself, is really funny. Because like there's this one scene where he's like, or where Pongwon is trying to explain to Tarzong, like, I'm a man, like I'm actually a man, like not everything that you see is exactly what you get. And he takes this as like, oh, so she's trying to tell me she's not like her family. Like what? Like, because I get like it is a little bit outlandish. Like, what do you mean you're a man? Like, what? Like, what you mean? Like, you're gonna be on my side? Like, you're my man? Yeah. It was just really funny. And the thing is, like, because not only is Wangwon a man, he's also from the 21st century, so he uses like a lot of like modern lingo. He introduces ramen. Introduces delivery services. Like, you know how people deliver food to your house? Like he introduces that. And so I also think that there was really like a good use of cliffhangers and mystery, because just like the topic of her not, or Pongwon not knowing the reason behind the queen, the reason and the culprit behind the queen jumping into the lake, like that took a pretty like long minute to like realize, but it was so interesting because there was like even more things that end up coming out that is like, what? Like, wow. And I really just loved every single minute of it. And I think the cliffhangers and like the mystery and like the way it's written with all of these like side plots that really, really genuinely contribute to the main story. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I rewatch it all the time, even though I know exactly how it's gonna end, exactly what's gonna happen, because like sometimes I be forgetting. But like I'm still just sat there and like really intrigued. So the next K drama we're gonna talk about is My Sweet Mobster. I give this a 10 out of 10 on plot and a 10 out of 10 on rewatchability because like I know that it just came out this summer. Like it just came out this summer, but I like this K drama got me to do something I have never done before, which is rewatching episodes that already came out while waiting for new ones. For some reason, like if that was the only content that could feed my sweet mobster fix, I was gonna sit down and watch the first episode two more times while I wait for the second one to come out. Right. Like so the genre is a romantic the genre is romantic comedy kind of action, but I did not write that because it's not that important. The tropes in this K drama are grumpy ex sunshine, childhood friends, and cohabitation. So I'm really excited to talk about this. I love my sea monster. Um, so the main characters are Sojiwan, Koluna, and Changyonu. These are the three leads of this K drama. Obviously, the main lead is Sojiwan, the female lead is Koluna, and then the um second male lead is Changyonu. This is the first time that I didn't get any any second male lead syndrome at all. Like, thank you. The what this kid so basically the synopsis is a kids content creator named Koluna has been searching for her childhood friend for 20 plus years, and then she meets this ex-con turn CEO at a club. Basically, how this all starts is she is a kids content creator, obviously, and so she gets a call from her best friend, and her best friend is like, "Hey, girl, let's go out," but like doesn't actually tell her like where they're gonna go, where they're gonna be. And she was just filming like a play date video where she was dressed up as a police officer, and so she goes to the club, but like doesn't know that they're gonna be at a club, you know, and she's dressed as a police officer. And then her friend is like, "Girl, what are you wearing?" And she's like, "I'm sorry, like filming took a while." And but she's like, I want to have fun still." So like she changes, not changes, but like she covers up her police officer uniform with like this very glittery golden like magician cloak kind of thing, because it was one of her props that she got for very cheap. And she's like, "Wait, this kind of eats a little, not gonna lie." So she goes into the club, you know, there to have a good time. Chiwon is there because the club is owned by a rival of his, quote unquote. So basically, for Chiwon's backstory, he, like I said, was an ex-con, and it's because his dad was a leader of a gang called the Bulldog Gang, and Chiwon gets introduced into this gang life and automatically becomes successor, even though he wasn't there for majority of like the gangs like up and like he wasn't there for like the gangs up and coming, you know, like, you know. So he just gets successor because he's the leader's son. So it's basically nepotism. But this rival was the leader's right hand man since the jump. And so the rival had like this like kind of honestly like hatred for Chiwon because he thought it was unfair that Chiwon automatically got the position of like successor when he was there working his butt off for the company or for the gang. And to make matters worse, when Chiwon gets like when he gets a hold of the gang, like when he becomes the gang leader, he actually ends up dismantling the gang. After going to jail, he dismantles the gang to start a new life as a CEO of a meat processing company. because he's not a bad person and he doesn't want to continue in this gang life. But all of his employees, not all, but a lot of his employees are ex-cons, and he's at the club because he's looking for his employee, um who used to be a drug addict, and that club, his rival, is known for selling drugs on the low. Right. They have this little meet cute while he's looking for his employee, and she almost falls. He catches her in his arms, and all of this like kids candy that she was holding, like kind of like falls out of her pockets. Like it just like falls out of whatever pockets she had. And then like he helps her pick it up, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." And then like he goes to confront his rival, not his rival, but like his rival's little right hand man, and is like, "Where is my employee?" And they're like playing dumb, like, "Your employee? I don't know who you're talking about." He's like, "No, I think you do." And then he's like, "Oh, damn." And he starts like beating up this employee that was just there. And um the scene gets really, really rough because everyone starts to gather around. The rival's right hand man leaves. Chiwon is there trying to help clean up the mess, but it's since he's the only one there, like implication that he did it, right, is obvious. And so everyone's like, "Oh my god, why is that like this criminal? Like he's just out here like beating random people up. We need to call the police. We need to call the police." And at the same time, like there's just like this huge commotion happening. um Una and her friend are in the crowd, and then suddenly, like, her little cloak that she was wearing to cover up her police officer uniform ends up coming off, and they're all like, "Hey, girl, like, the police is here, like, go talk to him." And she just says, like, a bunch of random stuff, like, she doesn't really know what she's doing. And he catches on, like, "Wait, are you even a real police officer?" And she gets nervous because, like, now he's interrogating her, but then the police actually do show up. And so he's like, "Oh my god!" Like when he like literally is like getting like dragged out, being cuffed. He's like, "What the, bro? Who was this random ass girl like trying to like set me up? Like I wasn't even the one doing anything. Like y'all could check the CCTV." And he ends up getting released because she puts handcuffs on him, but they're fake. And after he's like, "Bro, who the frick was that lady?" And she runs away with her best friend. And they keep like coincidentally meeting. He starts liking her after their third meeting, because like the first time that they met, like obviously was that. The second time that they met, it was the same kind of misunderstanding where she was like doing a part-time job. She thought that he was stealing money from kids when that kid was actually stealing money from the dumpling place that he was eating at, and he was just trying to get it back. But because like she just assumes that he's a bad person, she like hits him in the back of the head because she's like dressed up in like a mascot costume, hits him in the back of the head, and runs away. And the thing is, at this point, he assumes that she is a part of the cat gang, which is his rival's gang. And the reason being is that all of that candy that popped out of her like pockets or whatever are also being sold on the black market as drugs. So he thought that she was like harboring drugs for her gang leader. Like that's what he thought. They argue, or like he like chases her around, and then he starts to interrogate her, like who are you? What's your name? Like what's your relation to the cat gang? And she's like, "What cat gang?" And he's like, "Don't play dumb." And he's like, "What about the drugs?" And after she's like, "Drugs? Drugs?" And she's like, "Yeah, like the drugs that look like candy." And she was like, "Drugs, candy? Oh, you mean like kids candy?" And he's like, "No, I mean the drugs." And she's like, "No, you mean the kids candy?" And he's like, "No, I mean the drugs." And she's like, "You know what? Let me go take you to your drugs then, I guess." And like she's like so, what's the word, like so annoyed at the situation, she takes a whole bunch of the candy that she has, because what she has is actual candy, and like takes a whole like handful and like dumps it in her mouth. And he's like, "Oh my god, like do you have a death wish? Like do you want to die? Like girl, that's drugs." And she's like, "No, it's like she's like, "Bro, it's candy." And then like she ends up choking on the candy because she ate too much, and he takes her to the hospital. and to get drug tested. And she was like, "You see, like that wasn't drugs. Like you that wasn't drugs. Come on now, like please." And he's like, "Okay, well, you know what? Like you just gotta stay like 50 meters away from me. Never ever be in my vicinity ever again." And he like basically scares her off, and she's like, "Oh my god, like he's scary because he was an ex-con and he looks scary." And then the third time they meet is when he falls in love, because so basically there was like this was it a kids festival? I'm just gonna call it that. Like it was like a festival for kids where like there was like a bunch of activities, and a bunch of like companies came to promote their products to kids. She is a kids content creator. She's a YouTuber for the kids. So obviously she's gonna go there, and like um she did a little game, not a game, but she was like doing like a little cooking demonstration, making pizza with the kids. And at the same time, like guys in T1's company go there because they're starting to sell like little pork sausages to kids, for kids, and they're there to promote their product. At first, he wasn't even supposed to be at the festival. It was just supposed to be some of his workers, but then his workers and some like civilians, they get into an argument because these civilians like are really like mad at them and hate them and don't want to try their product because of the fact that they're ex-cons. So they're like, "Bro, what did you poison my kids' food? Like, are you gonna poison my kids' food?" And they're like, "Bro, like, we just want to sell stuff to kids. Like, we just want to sell these sausages into the kids. Like, don't even try." But then like they end up getting to like a real fight, and then um after the fight is over, that's when T1 comes to like lecture his employees about what they did, because they were in the wrong, but like the civilians and his employees were also in the wrong. And while he's like walking, he notices that she's, there, and she's like playing with these kids, but she looks so pretty. She looks so happy, and she's so good with the kids. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. So he starts to like her right then and there. He falls in love at first sight. So they continuously keep meeting because like there's just like a bunch of like coincidental things that are happening that are forcing them to come together. After he like is like, "Wait, I think I like her." She goes to the bathroom at the same time, but then she's covered in flowers, so like she's like just tracking flour everywhere. And she's like, "Oh damn, like I gotta clean this up." As he's walking out of the bathroom, she's mopping, and then like she literally like elbows him in the rib, and it causes him to like literally like, oh, like he gets like his ribs get fractured. And she was supposed to help him, like she was trying to help him up, but then she saw that it was the scary gangster guy and was like, "Oh my god." So she let go, and he falls down a flight of stairs. And then they're like, "Oh my god." Like the employees watch this happen, they're like, "Oh my god, like what happened to you, like Hyungnim? Oh my god, like that girl is crazy. She's with the cat gang. She's trying to kill you." And then like he goes to the hospital, and like she goes to visit him and brings him stuff, and like he's like really cutesy and shy because the girl that he likes is in the same room as him, and this guy has never dated anybody in his life, and he's like almost 40. Aww. For some context, you may be wondering why, like, what is this childhood friends? So, as I mentioned earlier, she has been trying to look for her childhood friend for 20 plus years, and his name is Hyunwoo. And so she first meets this prosecutor named Chang Hyunwoo, and kind of automatically assumes that that could be him because they were born the same year, they have the same name, and he also likes kids and is good with kids, plays with kids well. And the reason why like Hyunwoo oppa, her childhood friend, was a very very vital part of her childhood was because she was going through like a lot at home and didn't have anybody to like play with her. And so like Hyunwoo oppa was like basically her older brother and like basically her best friend. And like he is the reason why she's so passionate about like kids and like giving kids a space to play, because he was that for her. Spoiler alert, Chang Yeonu is not Hyunwoo oppa. Chang Yeonu is just a prosecutor that she met a couple years back, like once and he's been into her since. And then so another thing is like as they start to like each other, like he obviously like falls for her first, and she ends up like losing her housing because there's like this scandal that happens where her freaking like company posts a very incriminating video of the guys that work at Chiwon's company, and they all assume that she did it on her own accord, but she has no control over her own YouTube channel. And I don't know how this works because I would assume that if you're with the company, like a management that helps you to obviously like manage your YouTube channel, you would still own the channel. The channel is not the company's, it's yours. Like the management just did it because they needed her account to have more views because she's like one of the lowest ranking creators in like views, regards of views. And then so they post that and becomes like a viral meme. But then Chiwon doesn't like her anymore after that, and then like people start to boycott Chiwon's company after that. She posted a video anonymously, like defending the employees at Chiwon's company. They all know, like her whole management knows that it was her that did it because the footage that she posted was taken on like the cameraman's camera. So like she gets fired because of that, but her housing is the company's housing and like it's within her contract. So because she gets fired, she doesn't have a house anymore. And so she goes back to her old neighborhood, goes back to Hyunoppa's house, the house that used to be his house. And coincidentally, Chiwon is the owner of this house. Like he's the new owner of this house. And so like he realizes that like she has no other place to go and like offers her a place to stay for a couple days, and she kind of stays there for a while, but she feels bad because she feels like she's imposing on them, and she leaves to go to like a sauna. And then like there was like this kind of drama that happens in the sauna, and so Chiwon figures out that she was getting threatened by these really intimidating guys, and um offers her a place to stay permanently if she becomes their in-house tutor, because a lot of his employees live with him, and a lot of the employees that live with him actually didn't really get a proper education. Like three out of the five, my bad, there's two other guys that they didn't graduate elementary school, which is not their fault. So like at first everyone's kind of like iffy about her being there because they figure out that Chiwon likes her. But then as time goes by, they become like sort of parents to all of them, and it's super super cute, and they end up dating obviously. So the reason why I liked it was because the side plots actually add a lot to the story. The side plots that I mentioned are his gangster past coming back to hide him, or his gangster past coming back to haunt him, because his dad, like I said, was the leader of the Bulldog gang, and he gets introduced to this gangster lifestyle when he becomes a not when yeah when he becomes a teenager. That's when he becomes like inaugurated into the whole lifestyle. And then because he's not actually a bad person, he doesn't want to do any crime. As time goes by, like when he's kind of like an actual adult, he gains like two other people that are on his side that end up following him into his company. But that's not really the point. The point is he ends up like turning like his father into the police, and like gives the police all of this very incriminating evidence against his dad, so his dad can go to jail so he can become free and like not a part of the gang anymore. He's only in there for I think 7 years. And so when his dad gets released from jail, like Chiwon and Una are already dating. But it's a little bit like iffy because he doesn't want to hurt her, and he doesn't want to like make his past like a part of their story, because he's not a part, like that's his past, right? And so like the thing is like it's actually a very big obstacle that doesn't really get mentioned until like I would say like that half point of this drama, that's when like it kind of starts to pick up a little bit. But like I liked that it wasn't really mentioned because it just proves that he wasn't really thinking about his dad or him leaving jail anytime soon because he was just so happy on his own. Another thing that I really liked was the mystery of Hyunwoo. Okay, so the story sets it up where like she has obviously like had her trials and errors of trying to find him, and like there was like this really funny montage where like anything or anyone that was named Hyunwoo, she was like, "Wait, is that Hyunwoo oppa?" And it's kind of the similar thing with Chang Yeonu when she meets Chang Yeonu because she thinks that Chang Yeonu is Hyun oppa. He has a very similar personality to Hyunwoo himself. For a minute, like when it was coming out, like a lot of people were like, "Wait, who is actually Hyun oppa?" And a lot of like My Sweet Mobster fans pointed out the fact that like on the synopsis on the web, like on websites, it says that So Jiwon is her childhood friend. So if they're childhood friends, then that means that Jiwon is Hyunwoo oppa, but then why does Jiwon have a different name? So basically, the reason why Una has been looking for Hyunwoo this whole time is because of the fact that like the last time that she saw him, like she blames herself for the last time that she saw him because basically, um her and her family had been having financial issues, so these loan sharks would go around her house trying to look for her, and so she assumed that the same thing was happening when she goes to find Hyunwoo this one day. So she goes to find Hyunwoo, and like he lets her into the house, and then like uh later on when they're leaving, like this hand like reaches to the door, and like they end up running away because they think that she's the one that needs to be hidden, but actually it was T1's dad who came to find him and to tell him like I'm your father, like you're gonna want to come back to me once things start to get rocky, because like he didn't even know that he had a son, and he didn't even know who his dad was, right? So then like flash forward a couple years in high school is when Chiwon's mom ends up passing away. And because Chiwon's mom passes away, like he has no other option but to go to his dad. And so his dad teaches him how to fight, teaches him the ways of the gang, and he ends up just like assimilating for survival purposes. He doesn't actually believe in any of the things that his dad is perpetuating. Or and yeah, so then he ends up like having to change his name. And Hyunwoo becomes like a part of his life that he doesn't want to remember because it just brings up all of this traumatic memories. And so like when, even though like he knows she's looking for Hyunwoo, like because he's the one who puts two and two together first, that she is the Una that he used to know. And then when she's like trying to look for Hyunwoo, like he doesn't say, "Oh, it's me," and it's because of the fact that it's traumatic for him. It was a really long like twist and turn as to how that happened, but like it was like, oh, okay, wait, like that kind of makes sense. Like obviously, if it was like if he had all of that going on, like obviously that means that he couldn't be the Hyunwoo that she needed right then and there, right? And like even when they start dating, like he doesn't tell her that he's Hyunwoo, but she ends up figuring it out on her own. And I was like, when she finds it, I was like, bro, I started crying. But anyway, I also liked that it mixed action and crime without death, because a lot of the times, like we're gonna talk about this in the next episode, but or in the part 2 episode, but like I really hate when there is murder side plots. But then in this sense, like the whole like crime and action and fighting, it makes sense because he used to be a gang member. There's gang activity, there's drug activity, like another thing that I liked was that the twist of the childhood friend wasn't random. Oftentimes K dramas randomly add in towards the end that, oh my god, like they were childhood friends, they knew each other when they were young, but they didn't know it, so automatically that means that they've been like, that they're like meant to be, and that they're like supposed to be together even though they're already together at that point. Like it kind of feels like a cop out, because it's like, can it just be that these two adults like each other? Like why do they have to know each other when they were young? Like I don't think it correlates. And I'm looking at you, what's wrong with Secretary Kim? I'm looking at you. Another thing that I really liked was like the gangster ex nice girl plotline as a whole, because I eat that up. Like I do eat that up. Like middle school me and Wattpad, like good girl ex bad boy, like thank you. Gangster ex nice girl, thank you. And I really liked that like he was only a gangster on the surface, and in a way it was like a defense mechanism, but his personality was not like that at all. Like he was literally just a softy little cutie patootie who never experienced any real softness in his life except for when Ina came in it. Thank you. Thank you. I also really liked the side characters because like they added a lot of flavor to the show. Like they all had really good chemistry together. So like it was a really, really good mix of like comedy, romance, action, and I really liked it. So the last K drama that we're gonna be talking about tonight is Business Proposal. I would give it an 8 out of 10 on rewatchability and an 8 out of 10 on plot. So the genre for this is obviously romantic comedy. And as you can see, I'm a romantic comedy girly. Like, sue me. I know that some people are like, you need to, branch out, watch different. But I just really don't like seeing torture or like violence to a very extreme extent on my screen. Like, thank you. I watched Mouse, and I think that was enough for me. Like, it was like from 0 to 100, right? So I'm just like, no. So the tropes in this are identity switch, love triangle, fake dating, office romance, and we could not forget rich CEO ex poor girl. Thank you. Like, we love that. We eat it up in here. We on my side, we eat it up all the time. The characters of this K drama are Shinari, the female lead, Kang Taemu, the male lead, Cha Sang-un, the second male lead, and Shin Young-so, the second female lead. And I put I forgot his name, so I just put crush of 7 years. He's really insignificant. He's not insignificant to the plot, but he's insignificant to me. Whoever you are, Mino, was Mino his name? I don't know. I think it was Mino. So, Business Proposal is about a girl that covers for her best friend on a blind date and a guy that needs his grandpa to get off his back. So, let's get into it. So, as I mentioned earlier, the female leads are Hari and Youngso, and they are best friends. So they usually play pranks on Youngso's blind dates because, surprise, surprise, Youngso is a chaebol, which basically means that she comes from a very rich conglomerate company owning franchise owning family. And because of this, her dad always puts her in situations where she has to go on blind dates with guys that she doesn't like, but it'll be good for business purposes to have their families connected through marriage. But she wants to marry for love. So each time that her dad would um set her up on a blind date, she would ask Hari to come help her, and they would like trick the guy into not liking her, or Hari would go to the date herself and pretend to be Youngso to like um turn the guys off of Youngso, right? So the two stopped doing it after a while, but Youngso's dad sets her up on another blind date and she asks for Hari to help her again. And at first, Hari is like, no, girl, we're done with that. Like, I thought I told you last time was the last time. But as I said before, Youngso is rich. So Youngso's like, hey, girl, like, I'll pay you. I'll pay you a part time salary if you do it for me just this once. And the thing is she needs the money because her brother got into a fight with the restaurant next door a couple days prior to like her request, and she needs to pay for like the guy's compensation, and that is going to eat up her paycheck. So she's like, okay, I'll do it. Hadi does what she usually does, purposely tries to sabotage the date using Youngso's name, but then she finds out that the guy that she's on a date with is the CEO of her company, the president of her company. And the thing is, he has his own story because he gets set up on a date against his will too. But the thing is, like, it's because his grandpa wants Temu to be happy and doesn't want Temu to like only focus on work. Like he wants his grandson to also have a dating life, and he proposes that he's gonna go on all of these dates. And first, Taemu's like, "Oh, grandpa, no, like I'm not doing that. Like, would you want me to really, you know, neglect my company, neglect the company for me to go get a girlfriend?" And he's like, "Actually, yeah." He's like, "Yeah, would you do that? Because I want to have some great grandchildren before I die." The the encounter is a little awkward because like she's doing all of this like kind of not really vulgar, but very kind of honestly like a little bit like, "Oh, what are you doing?" She's like, "Samantha and Rachel." Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But he's like, "Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go for the first person that my dad or that my grandpa sets me up with, and it'll be done. Like I'll just marry the first person that I find like that I go on a date with." And so that's why he's like really adamant to like date her, continue to see Youngso, even though Youngso is kind of weird because he just doesn't want his grandpa to keep nagging him about getting married. At the same time, Temu's best friend Sangun and Youngso meet at a convenience store and she falls in love at first sight. So they meet again while finding parking to a restaurant and she gives him her card. Oopsie, that card says Chin Young So, but they already think that Hari is Young So. So she finds out, oh no, Temu finds out that this girl that he's been going out with that has been trying to reject her is actually not Young So, but just a stranger. Young So was supposed to like tell Temu herself that, oh, I just hired a random person, but like she just couldn't get to it. And the reason why is because obviously like that's Hari's boss, like she doesn't want anything to do with the situation anymore. But so he's so mad that he makes Youngso set up a meeting with Hari without Hari knowing that they're gonna meet. And so they make up a story saying that she's a hired actress like they were planning before, and Hari introduces herself to Tamu with an alias instead of using her real name because again like she works at his company. And so she says that her name is Kumi Shingumi, and he proposes to create a fake relationship to keep his grandpa happy, and if she doesn't comply then she would have to like pay him money that she does not have. She has to switch back and forth between Gumi and Hari because Gumi, the character that she the second separate identity that she has made, is giving very like it's giving very much Hannah Montana. Like she has like a whole like highlighted wig of hair. She uses heavy makeup. He starts to like her without knowing her real identity. And once he finds out, he begins to pursue her like for real. But then there's another guy in the picture. I don't care about this other guy in the picture because the other guy in the picture is just this random, not even random, just this like bum who literally has led her on for 7 years, but then gets mad and like starts to get possessive the second that she gets another man. Like, I hate you. I really do, because what is wrong with you? And so like um they obviously start to date for real. But the thing is, like, it's really interesting because the grandpa meets Gumi without knowing that that's Hari. But then because she also works in the company, she meets the grandpa as Hari, but she can't show her face. So like he's like, "Bro, I don't like this Hari girl. Like she's so like ominous. Like she always has her hair in her face," not knowing that that is his favorite granddaughter-in-law. Like, please, let's get on to why I love it. I love the fake dating. The fake dating was so like, cause it's like, it's so cute. Cause like, obviously, like they have to pretend to be a couple, and once they start pretending, like it starts to get kind of real. And I love that trope. I like the identity switch because of the fact that it was like basically polar opposite, and like his feelings for her were so genuine. There is this one scene that I really, really always think about, and for context before I explain the scene, basically he had found out that her name was not Shingumi and that she was Shinhari and working at his company, and because of that he kind of like took his anger out on her in like a really weird way by like making her redo all of these like trial because she works as a nutritionist. So he was like making her redo all of like these trial meals because like they were trying to make some meal kits or something like that, and like um it was like a kimchi ravioli kind of thing, and like her team's kimchi ravioli got passed, and so because of that she was like they were having to do all these trial runs, and she ends up like having to redo it multiple times because he was so mad at her. But like because she was doing all of that while also pretending to be Gumi at the same time, and like she was under a lot of stress because like he purposely like put her in like a compromising situation where like she would have to be Shingumi and Shinhari at the same time, and like that, just like the thought of doing that was stressing her out. So she was like she ends up like falling asleep in the nutritionist kitchen, and he comes down to like check on the status of the kimchi ravioli, but she's sleeping. And so like because she slept, it's all burnt, but the oven is still on, or the stove is still on, and it's hot as hell. And like he's like, bro, wake up, like I need the kimchi ravioli right now. And so like he or she like takes it without putting on any like mittens or whatever, and like ends up dropping it, and then like he likes her still, but then he's mad at her for pretending to be someone else. So like there was like this close up shot of like him trying to like reach out to help her. It was like a close up shot of just his hand, and he like hesitates because technically he's not supposed to do that in this setting, and like she doesn't know that he knows. But that like just showed that he cared so much about her, and I really liked it. I also liked that the grandpa wanted him to marry for love instead of just like marrying for business purposes. In the K drama, there's also like there's a K drama within the K drama that has all of these very cliche tropes portraying these chaebol people as like inhumane people that only care about money, and that is the grandpa's favorite K drama, and also where she gets the name Shingami. And so the grandpa, like there's scenes of the grandpa watching it, and like watching these rich people like shove their money down all of these poor people's throats and be so mean and cruel, and he's like, bro, rich people aren't even that bad, like why are they portraying rich people like that? And he really just wanted his grandsons, both of his grandsons, to be happy, and I really loved that about the grandpa. He was so cute, like he was like such a cutie pie. I also like that there was no love triangle. uh, but I don't want to consider it a love triangle, like I don't care. And also by no love triangle, I basically just mean that like there wasn't like two male leads and a female lead, or two female leads and a male lead. It was like two couples in one story, which I thought was really interesting because there is not a lot of K dramas that do that. I can only name two or three because the only one that I'm thinking about is Run On and this one. But yeah, on to my favorite tropes. Y'all are gonna okay, okay, don't judge me, but one of my favorite tropes is when the female lead gets hurt. Like unironically, like when the female lead gets like kidnapped, or like when the female lead like has like someone is trying to like hurt her, and the male lead is just like the fuck, and like beats up the other guy, or beats up the people, or like gets her out of that situation, or like runs, like carries her on his back to go to the hospital. Like it's just like it's just so good. And the reason why I like it is mainly because like those scenes pop up during times where the male lead likes her but is in denial of his own feelings. There is this one scene that I'm thinking about that is in Love to Hate You, which was is one of my favorite K dramas, but it's not really because the plot is good. It's mainly just because it's very bingeable. In Love to Hate You, it's about like a movie star who dates a regular person, but it's like fake dating, contract dating, whatever. And so they're contract dating while he's on a movie set, and like they're shooting like a stunt scene with him having like to climb the elevator walls, and they use like a pulley system to like have the strings that hold him up, so then like obviously he's not climbing it for real, he's just like on a string. I don't know how else to explain it. But then, like, the thing is, it's not like a machine where, like, so there's people holding the line in place. However, it's a very dangerous, like, during the scene, it was super dangerous because, like, there's like a group of people holding like this, like, kind of like sandbag type of thing. And, like, they're supposed to be the weight that pulls it to keep him like stable. But then the person who's on the end of this like sandbag is like walking down an escalator at the same time, but he's not looking where he's going. He's just walking backwards. And if he were to walk backwards and fall down, not only would the guy holding the bag, not only would he get injured, it would mean that the line that's holding up the actor would immediately like drop so fast that it could hurt the actor too. So this is all happening and everyone doesn't notice that like the escalator situation is even happening. The only person who does notice is the female lead. And she, with no hesitation, runs up the escalator and holds back this person to make sure that he doesn't fall. But while doing that, she ends up falling behind herself. And the thing is, everyone is already assuming that they're a couple. She ends up like falling backwards off this freaking escalator, off this freaking flight of stairs, and everyone is like, oh my god," and like at this point in time, the male lead already likes her, but like doesn't can't really like tell her that that's how he feels because this is a contract relationship. But when immediately when he notices that she got hurt, like he like unbuckles from this line thingy that's holding him up, like goes down and then like picks her up immediately. He sees blood on her back and is like, I need to get my girl to the hospital. We love you for that. We do. Another thing that I like is when the male lead thinks the female lead has a man, and I think it's so funny because like it's like whenever this kind of plot happens, it's when the guy doesn't know or doesn't think that he likes the girl, right? But like the second he sees her with another man, he's like, wait, hold on, like, hold on, hold on. The what is going on here, and why do I feel weird about it? It's so funny to me. Another thing is enemies to lovers. I think that this is another thing that like everybody writes down, everybody says, and yeah, like I admit it because hatred is a very like it's a very passionate emotion still. And it's like literally hatred and love are two sides of the same coin. When that hatred turns to love, like ooh, and that little awkward moment when like they can't even like accept it. Like they're just like, we're supposed to not like each other. Like, why do I like you? Another thing that I put down is star-crossed lovers. But I mean it in only this sense. And I'm so glad that there's another K drama that I can talk about that has this. It's a very specific way that I mean star-crossed lovers. And I mean it when like it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet kind of esque, where like the female lead and the male lead aren't supposed to be together, like forbidden, like it's forbidden love. They're not supposed to be together, but they just are, like despite the fact that their families hate each other, they're together. And like an example that I'm thinking of is Welcome to Some Diary, because Welcome to Some Diary is really interesting because like technically like the main couple, they dated when they were in no, they dated when they were in college, and they were childhood friends since they were born because their parents were friends with each other. However, when the male lead's mom passes away, the male lead's dad blames the female lead's family for his wife's passing. And because of that, when they go to like, because they go to, so they live in Jeju and they go to Seoul for college, end up liking each other, then they come back and they're like, we're gonna tell our parents that we're together and that we're serious so that like, things can start moving along when we're ready. But the dad is like, break up with my son. Like he's like, break up with my son. I don't like you. I hate your family and you know why. Even though like they're not completely at fault for his wife passing away. It was just really interesting because I've never seen like, because and then they do break up, but like their love for each other is so strong that they end up like dating again after 8 years. Um, despite the fact that his dad hates her family. And another example that I'm thinking of right now is a K drama that I literally just started today, and it's called Love My Enemy, and it's about these two people that used to like date in high school, and they meet like 15 years later. And the thing is, they were not even supposed to be dating or like each other in any way because of the fact that like their families are enemies. So it goes all the way back to their great grandparents or their grandparents, I think. So their grandparents hated each other, their parents hate each other, and so they hate each other. And so they grew up in the same town, in the same classes, with the same name, just different last names, and same birthday too. And they were just like growing up being like academic rivals, being rivals in every aspect because their family hated each other. But then like when they're in high school, they start to like each other and they start dating. The male lead like leaves to go to a different school, and since then she's hated him. And it's really interesting. And I really like those kinds of plots because like I think that there is way more room for like nuanced characters and a very like gray area as to like moral gray area as to like whether or not this is good or bad. Um Especially in Welcome to Some Diaries sense because like his grief for his wife just manifested into hatred for the female lead's family, which is obviously like logically not good, but like technically, like emotionally, like I really understood where he was coming from. Those kinds of things where like you can understand the um I guess opposing side and like kind of empathize with them, but you root for the main couple. Like it's just really cool because even in Love My Enemy, um the sons, like the parents, but I'm kind of confused. But anyway, because the first episode just came out today, but the parents like they hate each other, but like at the same time they don't want to see each other die. They don't want to see each other get hurt, and like it's really interesting because like they can't even admit that they like want to be friends because of like their family's long history of feud, but like they still care about each other, but they just can't admit it. It's really interesting, and how that kind of like correlates to the main leads' relationship with each other. And yeah, I wrote this down. I honestly do eat up a rich CEO, poor girl like trope, but like it depends on the context because sometimes they're like too cliche or too on the nose. I'm just like, bruh, like, I don't like you're not really eating with this. Like, you're just taking a cliche and putting the meter all the way up to 100. Like, you don't have to do that. The next thing that I really love is past lives. Like, I really love it when like they are together or like they were, put together in like the modern world, but like 20 years ago, or not 20 years ago, like 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, their ancestors who they reincarnated as loved each other. Like I love it. And I or like just like they love each other in a past life. Like it's just I eat it up because it's just like I love the idea of like fate and like red string theory and like they're meant to be and nothing will ever stop them, not even like meeting in a different life. Like they'll always find each other. And it's just oh, I love it. I really like the tsundere slash nonchalant guy trope, but only in pieces of media. You will never catch me from this point forward. You'll never catch me with a nonchalant man. No, 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 no. But like, I just really love like, cause I have seen like yandere like examples, but it's just like a little too obsessive. Like you're giving stalker. I love when a man like in fiction. I love when like the male lead like he's just like oh yeah like whatever. I'm just a chill guy, but he's like head over heels for his girlfriend. Like hello, hey, like I just like watching like a man that like doesn't know emotion learn his emotions for his like for the sake of like the person he loves, or a person who doesn't do much for others go all out for their person because they love them. Like those kinds of acts of love, like that means that they're the exception. I'm like, I also want to see like multiple couples more, but I do love it as a trope because like it takes away from like the love triangle. It gives a sense of uniqueness. Because honestly, if I'm being real, like the love triangle is getting a bit tired. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, like it is getting a little tired. But I do eat it up still. I eat it up still, but like it's like it's those things that it's like it's if there's like a white truck in a K drama, there's a love triangle. Like it's just very cliche. And so my current watches that I really love are Iron Family, Virtuous Business, and Love My Enemy. I really love Iron Family. Like I'm eating that up. Virtuous Business is really good. I honestly think that I'm a little bit of a slump because I'm not watching Family by Choice. Like I'm sorry. I know that a lot of people talk about it cuz like the Chinese version was really good, but I don't know if I can get behind it. Like I'm sorry. And I was watching Dear Haiti, but I hated it. Like what do you mean this, like because the male lead, he's like a convicted rapist. Why are we putting a convicted rapist in a K-drama? What? He's just a bad, like his character is just not a good person. Yeah, so if you guys have any recommendations, please put them down below. I was watching some recommendations that I saw on TikTok, like She Was Pretty, and I get the hype, but I stopped. I don't really care anymore because Shin-hyuk, Kim Shin-hyuk is not in the picture anymore, and I hated it because I really had like major second lead syndrome watching that. Mm-mm, no. So yeah, I was watching Moonshine, but I did drop it because I hated the male lead. I'm sorry. I wanted to keep watching because Pyo Sook was in it, but the male lead is so insufferable. Like, get off your moral high horse. People, these people have to survive. But yeah, so that is this part of the K drama episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next part, hopefully coming out after this soon, because I think I'm gonna edit them around the same time. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.